What's the deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers? 1 week in the preseason, week 1 versus the Jaguars, we're seeing Scarlett Thompson throw 3 TDs. The next week, what's the deal? You're seeing Scarlett Thompson turn his name into Scarlett Turnover. Let's not forget about Mason Rudolph. He saved Christmas. What's the deal? Steel Nation, welcome back to probably a lot of listeners out there. They're like, what's the deal with this podcast? Steel Nation, welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. And also welcome back to G'day Steelers Nation, where if you're on the YouTube side, I'm wearing an Aussie hat. I thought, what? You know what? What I might do is I might try and Aussie it up. Try and really go into my Aussie accent, my Aussie point of view, being so far away from the game in Pittsburgh. Our first game in Pittsburgh, Steelers lose 17-14. And now in comparison, you're thinking in week 1, what's the deal with week 1? Week 1 looks really awesome. Next minute in week 2, look very flat. And by the way, that's my really bad impersonation of Seinfeld. And there was a guy out there from Saturday Night Live who kind of does, it might have been Jim Carrey or someone else like that. He's like, what's the deal with Saturday Night Live? Recorded on a Sunday. That's my really bad impersonation of Jerry Seinfeld, right? What's the deal? But there's a question I want to ask. What is the deal? So welcome back to G'day Steelers Nation on Steel Curtain Network. And what is the deal? Week 1, we saw really great offense. We saw Scarlett Thompson looking like a Hall of Famer, all-pro caliber quarterback out there, looking fantastic. Running game needed some help. Our defense was really good too. We didn't sack the quarterback, but we're getting after it. Big plays by Eccles and big plays by there was big plays by Wilson and big plays by Beanie Bishop. In week 2, however, we're now in this lull period again where it's like, oh, is that what we're going to expect? Is our team, do we have to take time and effort? Like, do we need time to warm up into the season? Is it just preseason right now? But there are some positives. There are some good positives that come out of this game. But also, I think there's some reality checks at the same time where this team is growing. It's trying to get better. The quarterback play was really bad in terms of Scarlett Thompson. Mason Rudolph went 1 for 1. Yes, I know that Scarlett Thompson, his pick wasn't on him, but it wasn't the best quarterback play you saw from last week, or maybe as promised. But it is preseason, and Logan Woodside turned into a wood fire. It wasn't the best throw to end the game, going down the field to get a field goal. And really, the points don't matter, like that show in America, Whose Line Is It Anyway, led by Drew Carey, who was also from Cleveland. And he says Cleveland rocks, but they suck. Now, to me, this game was very hard to watch. It wasn't as fun as the last one with the Jags and the points, 31 to whatever we won by, 31-25. Really close game, entertaining game. It was kind of like a stalemate. It was like running the football, a lot of punting. So we'll talk about that in this episode 2 with the Corliss Waitman and Cameron Johnson punting the football. There were a few injuries came out of this one too, with Christian 46. Can't say his name here online because the way I say it, it gets me in trouble. But you guys can use your imagination out there. Christian 46, our long snapper, got hurt. Nick Herbig also got hurt, and he plays outside linebacker. He's been dealing with a few injuries here and there. So it wasn't the best from that front. And no, we were never going to see Rodgers. We weren't seeing, I believe we weren't seeing like 9 of our starters on defense. We saw plays from Juan Thornhill. He came down to the box. One of the running backs there, Bucky Irvine, Tampa Bay Buccaneer running back, and he's a starter. He ran into the box and he was trying to get 2 or 3 yards, trying to spin out. Found some room to the left. As he moved to the left, he got knocked down by Juan Thornhill. So there were some positive. There were some good things. But this more than last week, I think it's a bit of a reality check, where this game, when I was watching it live, was just a preseason game, wasn't it really? We had, backups in there, making some tackles here and there, but there was a forced fumble near the end I think it was number 17. I can't remember his name. He was recently acquired to the Steelers. Number 29 pushed the guy out of the way. Then Max Hurlman picked up the football. But it was just those guys who were second string, third string, fourth string, trying to find. There's a bloody bug in here, mate. That's a problem with Australia. That's a problem with Australia. There's bugs everywhere. I got bugs on me camera lens. Hold up. Got a bug there. Got bugs zip zapping around me. If you do want to see these bugs online, and maybe I'll keep the hat. I don't know. Maybe I need to lean more into this Australiana, G'day Steelers Nation and G'day Steelers Nation on Steel Curtain Network. But yeah, same time, it wasn't that enjoyable for me. And I'm a huge Steelers fan, and I hope you guys out there had a good time if you went to the game or you had some barbecue and, invited friends and family over. But to me, it wasn't that enjoyable in the sense I just don't think there were that many big plays from the previous week. Now, there was still some roster battles here and there, in terms of, the quarterback position, not really roster battle, but there's a quarterback position in Mason Rudolph. We'll have number 2, Skylar Thompson. It looks like if they are to carry 4 quarterbacks on the roster or practice squad, he'll go to the practice squad. But in recent years, I don't think they've carried another 4th. So they're really trying to look after just 3 on the roster. Which Will Howard, will he come back next week for the Thursday game, my Friday game? And going to the running backs, you had a real competition at the 4th spot. If they're gonna bring in Kenny G. I think he played a few snaps here and there. Joel Warren sat out again because he's the starter. Caleb Johnson, I thought he did okay in this game. Caleb Johnson run the football. I like the way how he can, dodge and dive and move around and go left to right. But sometimes you just want to go straight and hit people hard, right? But I understand he's like a cut runner, or find a bit of space. He seems to hit the hole, bounce to the outside, try and use his right or left arm to palm players off. And as he does that, he tries to find more space. Now, as he starts the first team defense and not second team defense or third team defense, will that work in the NFL? It might work in college. It might work at that level where you can bounce to the outside and run for a 10-yard gain, or hopefully beat the safety and run for 50 yards. But will that work in the NFL where, safeties come down the box or middle linebackers have a lot of speed to them and they pretty much cut you in half as you tried to move outside and go backwards? Running backs, they did well, a bit better in the running back sense. But who's going to get that 4th spot? That's one of the things that's most intriguing to me, is at the 4th spot, what's the deal with the 4th running back spot? And that's my Seinfeld impression. The 4th spot is Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's getting a TD a week. Trey Sermon is doing all the right football things. But something tells me that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to let this bloke called Lou Nichols on the roster. There's something about him. There's something about Lou Nichols that he was, I think, the all-time leading rusher 2 years ago or 3 years ago for the NCAA. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers in round 7. He got cut, and I believe he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he's now being picked up by the Steelers in the roster. Can he make the practice squad? At the same time, will he last on the practice squad? Something tells me if they're going to carry a 4th, you take him over Trey Sermon. I think he's got more upside and more tick to it. It kind of reminds me like a mini. Woo! No, I just turned my light off so I can cut, because I've got my lights, right? I got my YouTube lights here, guys, on my Steel Nation Australia, and I can't see all the lights. But yeah, I feel like if they're going to take one running back, it needs to be Lou Nichols and take a flyer. You got Kenny G to be the halfback, scat back, to get the ball to and screens and stuff like that, and can contribute on the offense. You've got Warren, and then you've got hopefully the big play Johnson once he starts ramping up. But I believe the Steelers got to take in Lou Nichols. He had a run of like 35 yards or something like that, and that was insane. And that was like one of the first big plays where I actually paid attention. Now, I was watching the game on my Steelers Nation Australia YouTube channel live with all the community in chat, and it was really fun. So if you do want to check us out there, check us out if you can, once you're done listening to Steel Curtain Network on the audio side. And I think at that point, once that point came up and I saw Lou Nichols run over someone, hit someone, bounced off like a pinball machine, then he moved like another 25 yards for a first down. I was like, this is pretty fun. This game has now got, more interesting in terms of there's more steak in the game. And speaking of steak, who doesn't love steak? A bit of, medium rare steak with a bit of salt and whatnot. But definitely like this team, that drive it sparked something in the team where they could go and, give the Steelers a bit of life and go on to go 14-14. But it never looked like they were going to ever win this game. Too many turnovers. In the field goal missed kick from Ben Sauls. No offense to him, but that's why you go out there and pay. You pay the Wizard of Oz. You pay him his money, right? What's the deal, Wizard of Oz? Like you got to pay. You got to pay Wizard of Oz his money. I understand everyone's still up in arms around the Cameron Hayward deal. Fine, whatever. We'll talk about that maybe when he signs or restructures his content. He restructures his contract, but Ben Sauls missed a kick and it could have won the game, right? So those little things that Mike Tomlin will look at as a coach, the coaching staff will be like, actually, he was always going to be cut, but there's no real competition or there's no spot going astray there. That's Chris Boswell's spot. But other teams' spots in terms of like gunner or the now long snapper there's bloody bugs in here, mate. You know what? It's like winter. There's still bugs in here. But definitely like there's the long snapper. Hopefully Christian 46 is okay. But anyways, let me know in the comments, guys. If you do have the ability to write comments on Spotify or whatever audio network you're on, let me know in the comments below what stood out to you. Because to me, it wasn't much. There were some positive signs with Rudolph passing the football 42 yards to Roman Wilson. And by the way, if you go back and watch that episode or the game, I sent a tweet out and Steelers Nation Unite asked about what was the best play. I wrote that. I said Roman Wilson 42 yards from Mason Rudolph. And they put me on the screen. So that was me, Steelers Nation Australia, also on Twitter or Steelers Oz. It's good fun. I love doing that stuff. I love to, try and promote Steelers fans in Australia as best as I can. But Roman Wilson kind of stood out too. He had 2 or 3 pass catches or whatever he did. And I think this bug's in the morning. This is the bug episode. This is now the bug episode. The bugs keep flying around and around me. But yeah, Roman Wilson is kind of like pushing, I guess, or begging the question, do the Steelers need receiver 2? We've been talking about receiver 2 for 2 years. Feels like a very long time. In that sense, I think he played well enough to be like, actually, we don't need receiver 2. We've got Roman Wilson to be that number 2 guy. Calvin Olsen come back from injury. Ben Skowronek, we've got to see more from Robert Woods if he even makes a team. And then Scotty Miller could be 3 or could be 4 or 5. And then who's going to play 6? Guys like Rock Taylor. He showed up today. Rock Taylor had a fantastic game, to be honest, in the catches that he had. The other bloke there was Keshawn Williams, and he's playing punt return and also kickoff return, I think. Kickoff return was the other bloke. It was Caleb Johnson. So Keshawn Williams was playing return game. So these guys are trying to find a role, and that role is their receiver position, or trying to fight out for competition, or they're trying to play teams. There are other blokes out there too that stood out to me, like on the defense. I know I'm all over the shop too. I do apologize, but my brain is just filled with Steelers, stuff in my head. I'm just trying to think about what I see next, And what stood out to me next was Cole Holcomb had a pretty big game too. That was really fun to watch too. Cole Holcomb come back from his injury. He laid the wood, laid the smack down. And at the same time, you start thinking, okay, Cole Holcomb, where does he fit? Is he in rotation of middle linebacker 3? Then you have the other bloke there that is going to be Malik Harrison. Could he have the spot, or is that going to be Mark Robinson, or will that be Carson Brunner? Because Carson Brunner also played pretty well, I think, on teams. He made some good team tackles. So this one, Steel Nation, before we go to break, and we might talk about some more things, and maybe talk about on the flip side what we can expect or hope to see possibly in the next game, because right now I'm doing a week by week podcast and we're seeing games left, right, and center, and the next game we see is your Thursday, so it's around the corner in week 3 preseason. But overall, to me it wasn't that exciting. It wasn't that of an exciting game, but at the same time it still was football. and the quarterback got a bit of dose of reality where each of them threw a pick. The 3 turnovers can't happen. The running game did better, but that was basically because Johnson had more carries and a higher run rate, which was 4 point something average, 4.5 yards average. Receivers did okay with Wilson, and they did okay with Brennan Johnson got a TD. So there are guys fighting for the spot that's going to be the 6th spot on the Steelers. And the offensive line, I thought, did okay, but let some sacks. I think 2 sacks where they got the quarterback. The other sacks came where the quarterbacks ran out of bounds. This is preseason. This is like 1 week, we're full on fire. We love the team. It's insane. It's so much fun. The next week, it's like, oh, maybe this is just preseason. And the Steelers players definitely need to figure some things out, and they're going through the motions and getting back at it, right? And it's a bit of a reality check. So what's the deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers? 1 week, they're on fire. The next minute, they're dust. Steeler Nation, I'll go to a break, and I'll come right back with part 2 on G'day Steelers Nation on Steel Curtain Network. Welcome back, Steeler Nation, to G'day Steeler Nation on the Steel Curtain Network and also on Steelers Nation Australia. On the video side, I took my hat off, so I got my hair going crazy everywhere, but I'm still here on the audio side, so thank you very much for coming back. And in this second part of the episode, let's talk about what to expect or what's coming up for the Carolina Panthers game. And the big question to me is, and look, the Jags game was fun. Preseason football was fun. Buccaneers game was a bit of hard dose of reality. And what's the deal with the Pittsburgh? What's happening, right? The third game, I think on everyone's, question on everyone's minds is, will Aaron Rodgers play? Does he need to play? Is there one series that he has to? Is it more for the fan, or is it more for the coaching staff to see him play? I personally don't think he needs to play, to be honest. I think he can go into week 1 and absolutely carve up the Jets. If you want to get pumped up and excited and cheer on this team and really get after it, wait until you hear my rundown of the week before the Jets game, because I'm going to go absolutely ham. I'm going to go hammer and tongs. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel behind this defense, this potential of the offense, the playmakers, and I won't give it out just yet right now, but there's a big bold prediction for week 1 that I'm just seeing that can be a real big possibility that can happen. So going into the game next week versus Carolina Panthers, they tend to always do the Steelers versus Panthers. It's been happening like for 10, 11, 15 years in a row or something like that. It always happens, and I believe they rotate their house, our house. We're going to their house. And the question is, do the Pittsburgh Steelers have to play Aaron Rodgers? And I don't think so. I think he's got enough football pass under his belt, enough snaps, enough yards, enough experience where the Steelers have seen him play in practice. I don't think you need him to play any downs of football. Now, it would be great to see. It would be so cool to see Aaron Rodgers play with DK Metcalf, play with his new offensive line. Jalen Warren have a few carries out there. But do the Steelers have to have a drive? I don't reckon they do. So we'll soon find out, like the speculation the next 4, 5, 6 days when it goes into Thursday Night Football. My Friday, I've got the day off as well. I'm pretty keen to watch that game, the last game. And Mike Tomlin might give away some clues where Rodgers does play one series, but at the same time for the offense, I don't know. I believe it can just wait. I think it can wait. I reckon it can wait till the Jets game. I don't think we need to see Aaron Rodgers on the field. It'd be fun, but I don't think we need it. I don't think the Steelers organization has to be like, we need to see them play football to make a choice at QB1. That's definitely not going to happen. Now, another few guys like that. Do you need to see Jalen Warren? Do you need to see Johnny Smith? Do you need to see DK Metcalf? You've seen most of the offensive line. They've been playing football. Haven't seen Ciamalo. I think he might have been injured a few times or whatnot. But you've seen some good things from Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu, where they're playing in reps with Mason Rudolph. And basically, they're just getting the football to the playmakers and making Roman Wilson look really good. But I don't think as a playmakers, get ready for week 1 versus the Jets. I don't think we need to see it. And that's something we can discuss and talk about in the lives and, in the Twitterverses and all those kind of things. But I'm just getting ready to get through this game. This is like the last dress rehearsal kind of thing where you see players like Holcomb again. You see guys like the cornerbacks like James Pierre. Will James Pierre make the team? Will Connor Haywood make the team? This kind of stuff going into week 3 it leaves a lasting impression on this team and for Coach Tomlin and for the position at outside linebacker, where there's not outside linebacker. Or actually, bringing that up, I just did on 180. I just did a reverse on myself there. Outside linebacker. Here's a question for you. What I want to bring up: where the French toast does DeMarvin Leal sit? Now, DeMarvin Leal in the other game versus the Jags, and he's played a bit on the defensive line, right? But where does he sit in terms of the Steelers depth chart and where they're going to play him, or does he even make the team, or does he go towards the practice squad? I find that really intriguing because outside linebacker, they're playing number 33, Jack Sawyer, a lot, the guy from Ohio State. My apologies to anyone out there if I insulted your college. TJ Watt, Highsmith, he's dealing apparently with a little bit of an injury. I've heard through Twitter messages and some videos. And Nick Herbig also sustained an injury. I hope he's okay. Jack Sawyer, 33. And on the outside is DeMarvin Leal and Iku Leota, was number 53, who made a few plays here and there. I don't think that Leal has a spot at outside linebacker. I don't see him as a pass rusher. From my perspective as a fan, with my fan hat, my fan Australian hat, that he is a pass rusher or, expertise at the outside linebacker position. I could be wrong. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't know where they put him. So with this game coming up versus the Carolina Panthers, in the last game, you've got inside linebackers. Queen, he won't play, I don't think, unless he sees like one series, maybe. Peyton Wilson has been playing a lot, so maybe he sees 1 or 2 series. Malik Harrison, Cole Holcomb. Going down the list is Mark Robinson, Devin Harper, and Carson Bruner. I think that Mark Robinson, Carson Bruner, and Malik Harrison are all fighting for that 4th spot. If they go and take in 8 linebackers on defense, or potentially 9 linebackers, I think they're fighting for that 4th spot in the rotation. I think Cole Holcomb is a lock. I think he's been outstanding in the preseason. Just his physicality. He had really good coverage skills as well. But Mark Robinson also plays teams. But the same bloke who's a rookie is playing teams. Carson Bruner has been all over the field. And Danny Smith is chewing his gum and telling him where to go. And Carson Bruner is on fire. If you go back and watch some of those games or highlights, or as best you can, fast forward to the kickoff return, fast forward to punting return, punt team coverage. Bruner's all over the field, and he's making big tackles. So at that spot for this 3rd game, Malik Harrison and Cole Holcomb and Bruner, I think, or Holcomb's good, but Harrison, Robinson, Bruner, there are 3 blokes there, 3 guys, 3 players, trying to fight for one spot at the 4th rotation. Now, what was really interesting too, what I didn't talk about, is Derek Harmon got his first sack last week versus the Buccaneers that just got done past, and that was really cool to see. Keanu Benton put his hands up, put his paw up. Cameron Hayward will sign a deal, so he'll be there. Those are your 3 guys on the line. 3 guys on the line. Where does Logan Lee fit? Now, Logan Lee also filled in as your backup snapper, right? If Christian 46 goes down again, does Logan Lee make this team because he's your backup snapper? That was really interesting because he's an outside or defensive end, number 91, Aaron Smith's old number. But does he play a spot or a role in this team if Christian 46 can't go straight away, or Christian 46, our long snapper, gets hurt again in a certain game? You need a backup plan to do so. And maybe the Steelers showed their cards in that sense where Logan Lee could be on the team in rotation of the 6 defensive linemen, including Y.A. Black and Isaiah Loudermilk. You never know. That could be the 6. So this game we are going to verse the Carolina Panthers. There are going to be a lot of storylines going into. I know a lot of podcasts on the Steel Curtain Network. We'll be talking about a lot of things and breaking down tape and, getting the Steelers fan base absolutely excited and pumped up. I really am, to be honest. I love this team so much. I'm so keen, so fortunate to be a Steelers fan. So happy to be here on YouTube, on Steel Nation Australia, and also Steel Curtain Network, where I get to talk Steelers football as much as I want, right? I love doing it. So I appreciate all the comments from YouTube, YouTube out there. I appreciate people putting up with me and my silly antics and having a bit of fun when I was like, what's the deal? We're the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's week 2. The world's over. Fire Coach Tomlin. That's my really bad Seinfeld impersonation. But at the same time, we're getting around the corner, man. We're getting around here where it's Carolina Panthers, and we are definitely coming to a point where the preseason's almost over. I'm getting ready now, too, to go to Dublin. It's about 4 or 5. Dude, it's like 5 weeks away. I got to get ready to go to Dublin, got to buy some Euro, got to go over there and buy some Guinness. Even I'm not really a fan of, I guess, dark beer or whatever you call it. I've tried Guinness like once. So we'll see how we go with that. But can have a few brewskis, and I get to go to the game. I don't know if I told Steel Nation here on Steel Curtain Network, but I'm going to the game. So I'll be able to give you a live report, or not a live report, but hopefully I can try and figure it out and record a podcast a few days later about my experiences in Dublin in Croke Park, surrounded by 70,000 Steel fans, man. It's going to be a good time. But even so, like there's some other things that need to be worked out and ironed out. I think a communication and defense will get better with the guys were missing 9 players on defense, right? You only really saw starters out there was Juan Thornhill and I believe Peyton Wilson. The rest of the guys are out. So, but the other guys who are trying to fight for spots, Brendan Eccles been playing some big downs, some good football recently and trying to, get amongst his team and try and find his role as a cornerback. Beanie Bishop was really good in week 1. Beanie Bishop was a bit quieter in week 2, but he's also trying to find his spot too. Sebastian Castro, the safety, same kind of thing. We tend to fall in love with these players because we have, college, what do you call it? Maybe connections to them. Maybe you guys went to a certain college. Maybe it's one of your favorite colleges watching football. I didn't have that affiliation, but when I start watching preseason games and I see them ball out and I'm like, oh, there's Lou Nichols. Lou Nichols just ran 35 yards and absolutely effed them up. And he knocked over someone. And then, they're showing that true Steeler spirit and heart. That's when I get a bit of like, oh, yeah, you got to sign that guy, man. You got to sign that guy up. But the reality is, too, there are 90 men. And after the game versus the Carolina Panthers, it goes from like 90 to 53 real quick. They cut them all, I believe, like the next day or something similar. And then 16 make the practice squad. And then they, Omar Khan's making deals and bringing in receivers and cornerbacks and all these guys, right? There's even one guy I forgot to mention. I thought the tight end, JJ Galbraith, I think he caught 2 passes. That's also an interesting storyline. Where does Connor Hayward get his job taken in terms of is he the 4th tight end? Because they will carry 3, with the big 3 being Johnny Smith, Frymouth, Darnell didn't play too much as well. I think he did like a few run blocking here and there, but he wasn't targeted in the passing game. But does Connor Hayward have a spot on this team? Do the Steelers carry 4 tight ends and bring in JJ Galbraith, who caught a few passes there? And he's a bit bigger. He's a bit bigger bloke. Maybe a more traditional tight end than Connor Hayward is. So those are your storylines, man. Those are your storylines that are going to be a lot of fun for all these guys on the team. Max Hillman's trying to make the team, but I don't think he will. Deshaun Williams was the guy, kicker return. He's trying to make the team as well. But I believe it's going to be with our receivers is Metcalf. Robert Woods is the interesting one. I don't know. Austin, Miller, Wilson, Skoranek. And then I think it's like someone to be number 6. Rock Taylor. I said it in my live podcast. He wears the 89. He's, the 80s, like an 80s number receiver. He's 6'2". He just looks like a receiver. I know that sounds very dumb because he is a wide receiver, but if that makes sense, he caught a pass. I think it was a screen. He knocked off a player, ran 10 yards, and that was a first down. Rock Taylor just looks like a wide receiver, like not like DK Metcalf stature, but he definitely looks like a wide receiver who could be, maybe an underrated guy or could be number 6 on the team. Can he play teams? Will he be activated on game day? So many storylines with this team, Steel Nation, and I am beyond excited. So we'll say one last time, what's the deal? What's the deal with the Steelers? What is the deal, Pittsburgh, with this? What's the deal? Steeler Nation, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is the deal? Was the first week, super crazy, we're going to the Super Bowl, or was the second week, reality check where actually there's a lot to work on, or just in plain simple English, Aussie English, it's just preseason, right? It's just preseason. Guys are trying to find their way, trying to find their homes, trying to fight for spots. The punting battle is really interesting. Collis Waitman punts the ball like 60 yards. At the same time, my mate Cameron Johnston can punt that ball, a coffin corner punt, and in the 20 2 or 3 times at the 10-yard line. And you've got 2 great punters, one on a 2-year contract, one on a 1-year contract. What do you do? What's the deal? What do you do there? But this is a fun time. I still think this team can go far into the playoffs. I believe now I'm getting behind Aaron Rodgers. Crazy to say it, but I am. But this team can definitely, it's got some physicality to it. And we haven't even seen the first team offense yet. We've seen bits of the first team defense. Not really, though. Keanu Benton, Peyton Wilson, Thornhill. There are little tiny segments of a bigger picture. And like I said, let's get through this week versus Carolina Panthers. And then as we start to wind and get closer, just wait until you hear what I've got to talk about with Steelers versus Jets. I've got a massive bold prediction coming in a few weeks' time that it's going to absolutely knock your socks off. All righty, Steel Nation, thank you for listening to the Steel Curtain Network. And also thank you for listening to Steelers Nation Australia. And also thank you for listening to G'day Steelers Nation.